He slid the divorce papers across the kitchen table, eyes cold as ice, and told me the twins weren't his. My heart didn't shatter. Not on the outside, anyway. I just picked up the papers, read every word, and said, "Noted." That was the moment he thought I was finished. Little did he know, he had absolutely no idea who he was dealing with. Most folks think drama happens in some courtroom, or over a public screaming match, or at least in front of an audience. Nah. Sometimes it happens in your own kitchen, with a bottle warmer next to the sink and lullabies playing in the background, your whole life balanced on the edge of a yellow post-it note. My name's Marie Sutton. I'm 38, and by every account, I'm just another tired mom in a big old house in Charleston, South Carolina. Or at least, that's the part I've been playing. For years I let people, my husband, his family, even myself, believe that was all I was. Another wife, another mother, another woman who faded behind her husband's shadow. It was easier, I guess. Safe. But before the babies, before the lies, before my name got erased and replaced with his, I was somebody else. I used to be Marie Sullivan, and I wasn't anybody's shadow. Back then, I wore sharp blazers, signed contracts in 3 languages, and decided which way the wind blew for half the pharmaceutical industry in the Midwest. I met my husband, Nick Sutton, at a medical conference in New York. He was charming, smart, intense in a way that made the world tilt. We argued about insurance reform, and I liked that he pushed back. 2 months later, I moved to Charleston, his city, his family, his rules. That's when everything changed. The Sutton estate was massive, with more empty rooms than I could ever fill. I tried my best to fit in. His mother, Evelyn, lived a block away, but somehow always seemed closer. She never approved of me. I hosted teas, complimented her tasteless antique vases, pretended not to notice her little jabs, like when she told me, "Women of your generation just don't know their place." I even let her rearrange the living room after our wedding, just to keep the peace. But that's what you do, right? You try. I stepped back from my job after our first year. Nick told me, "Take your time." But that time turned into a silent, endless stretch. I kept the house running, played the perfect wife, and waited for someone to see me. No one ever did. Holidays were the worst. Evelyn always found a way to ask about my little career break. I'd smile and say I was enjoying motherhood. Back then, it was a lie, but it hurt less than the truth. The real heartbreak was we couldn't have kids. Years of trying, pills, doctors, tears at 3 a.m. Then, miracle of miracles, I got pregnant. Twins. I thought we'd finally made it. But even then, Evelyn raised an eyebrow and said, "Interesting timing." Not a word of congratulations. Nick just squeezed my hand, but I could see the worry in his eyes. I pretended not to notice. The pregnancy was rough. 32 weeks. The twins, Luke and Ella, spent weeks in the NICU. I was there every hour, counting their breaths. Nick showed up between surgeries. Evelyn never came by once. When we finally brought the babies home, she visited for exactly 3 minutes, looked at them, then at me, and said, "They don't look like Nick." The words landed like a punch to the gut. I smiled, because that's what I'd trained myself to do. But that day something changed. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was rage. Maybe it was the memory of the woman I used to be, someone who never took orders from anyone, someone who didn't have to explain herself. I didn't know it then, but war was coming. The envelope with his divorce papers wasn't even sealed. Nick used one of my own note cards, my favorite pen, like it was some regular Tuesday. On top, a sticky note. Let's not make this messier than it needs to be. Sure, Nick. Let's not. Inside, all the legalese you'd expect. He'd cover reasonable living expenses. He wanted joint custody, pending a paternity test for both kids, naturally. And in fine print, a clause that stripped me of any claim to the Sutton estate, just in case biological discrepancies were discovered. The paternity test was signed off by Evelyn herself, dated the day after we brought the twins home. This wasn't grief. This was a plan. My first instinct wasn't heartbreak. It was something colder. I wasn't shocked. I'd been waiting for the knife to drop. But I wasn't going to bleed out on his kitchen floor. That night, I didn't sleep. I folded baby clothes, sorted every medical bill, then dusted off my old laptop, the one Nick thought I'd thrown out. I logged into my investor account for Evolve Biohealth. My name was still there, right alongside my 11% stake. I checked our holdings, line item 93, Charleston General Research Fund, primary benefactor, Evolve Biohealth, Nick's Hospital, my investment. I drafted a single sentence and saved it. When you fund a man's reputation, you can erase it too. The next morning, Nick pretended nothing was wrong. He kissed the kids, asked if I needed anything. I just smiled. I might swing by the hospital later, I said, watching his face. He hesitated, said he'd handle it. That's when I knew he was scared. By noon, I'd emailed the board at Evolve, requesting a confidential investor session. By 2, I had every tax form, every contract, every original stock certificate lined up. By 4, I had a press folder, just in case. No threats, just truth, just receipts. No one remembered Marie Sullivan, the shark who could pull funding with one signature. But I remembered. Nick came home late, didn't notice I was dressed, ready to head out. Clearing my head, I told him. He thought I was grieving. I was preparing to make myself seen. Downtown Charleston was waking up as I walked to the Evolve building. The receptionist recognized me, called me Ms. Sullivan, even though it had been years. In the boardroom, I laid everything out. Every dollar that kept Nick's hospital on the map, every PR event where his name got top billing, every gala that existed because of me. I didn't gloat. I just showed them the math. I'm requesting a temporary hold on all collaborations tied to the Sutton name, I said, voice flat, until our internal matters are clarified. The legal guy asked, "Does this include the gala keynote?" "Yes." "The research grant renewal?" "For now." Someone asked if this would become public. "Only if I have to make it so." Silence. They nodded. For the first time in years, I felt like myself. Not the wife, not the accused, not the ghost in the big old house. Just me. But the game wasn't over yet. Just after midnight, a voicemail from Evelyn landed on my phone. 42 seconds. I played it twice. She hadn't meant to send it to me. Her voice, smooth as bourbon. She'll sign. She's not built for war. She's tired, alone. Nick just needs to hold the line. Once the DNA comes in, we'll move her out. Quietly, gracefully. She'll want to avoid scandal. Glass clink. Her confidence made me laugh. I saved the recording, labeled it Inheritance Strategy, uploaded it to the cloud, 3 backups, 1 sent to myself, 1 on a USB stick in my jewelry box. I didn't get mad. I got ready. Looking at Luke and Ella that afternoon, I promised them, "You will never have to prove your blood to anyone, not while I'm breathing." That night I wrote out my plan. I didn't want revenge. I wanted total removal, erasure of doubt. They'd had their turn. Now it was mine. The real showdown happened in the boardroom at Charleston General Hospital. 10 people. Hospital execs. Evolve board. Nick 2 seats down, pale, fingers trembling. Evelyn in pearls, looking smug. I dropped a red folder on the table. Hard to miss. "This meeting is recorded," I said. "This is a courtesy, not a negotiation." Their faces went white. Inside the folder, formal withdrawal of Evolve's sponsorship, citing reputational risk. Transcript of Evelyn's voice message, time-stamped. Evidence of the Sutton family's manipulation of hospital boards. I turned to Nick. He looked sick. "I will not allow my name or Evolve's to prop up a legacy built on lies." "Are you sure this is what you want?" the hospital director asked. I just nodded once. The folder clicked shut. Meeting adjourned. No votes needed. Nick followed me out. "Marie, wait." I stopped, but didn't turn. He stood there, hands shaking, waiting for me to say something. But I didn't. Men like Nick don't understand silence until it swallows them whole. News broke within days. Hospital lost funding. Nick was pulled from the gala. Evelyn resigned from her charity boards. No custody papers, no follow-up. It was like they dissolved into the silence they'd used to erase me. I walked out of that world with my name, my kids, and my dignity. Finally, myself again. Maybe that's all anyone can hope for. "So, who really won?"